Hear the stories of men and women switching hustles and escaping the odds through entrepreneurship after prison. Not only will these stories inspire you, but also unlock business tips for financial freedom. Let's get it.
Thank y'all for tuning in to Escaping the Odds. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
All right, I'm doing well, man. I'm glad you came on with me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to jamming out with you a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely, we're gonna knock it out the park, man.
All right.
I want to first and foremost thank everybody who's tuning in right now to Escaping the Odds podcast, where we interview formerly incarcerated men and women who are now entrepreneurs. And I got a good friend of mine, Eric Salzenstein, on. Came home from prison, did 4 years, came home, hit the ground running. Successful online business coach, and today he's going to drop some jewels on us and really inspire us to be our best selves. So how's everything going, brother?
Oh man, it's a great day. I'm over here at my mom's right now. Actually, we're having a little family night, and but I told her, I said I had a commitment, I had to show up, yeah. And she understands. So yeah, I'm glad to be here with you, man. Okay,
no doubt. Thank you for coming again, man. So you grew up in Orlando, right?
Yeah. I was born up north in Maine, and I've been in Orlando my whole life.
Okay, all right. So you would probably, based on our conversation, you're probably least likely to go to prison. Is that correct?
Least likely. Yeah, I had no business doing what I was doing, man. I grew up in the suburbs of Orlando. There was I was an athlete, big basketball player, multiple teams, traveling teams. But I think I just watched Scarface too many times.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
And tried to, so, it is what it is. And it led me to be who I am today. So.
Exactly. So let's talk about that, all right? The whole situation. When did it go down? How did everything happen? First time in actual state prison.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the whole experience before we get into the business of the online coaching and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, I think it starts back with that entrepreneurial spirit, the same spirit that's leading me today, right? And I remember being sixth grade selling candy and CDs, and I had them color coded mixtapes, and if you buy the ones I already had made, they were $5. If you wanted a custom mix, they were $7. So
right. Yeah.
I had a whole thing, man. Right. And
that was before iTunes, though.
That was back with LimeWire and Kazaa and Napster. Yeah. And yeah, man, and my that was all through grade school. 6th, 7th, and even 8th grade, I was doing that. And then when I got into high school, it's not really cool to sell CDs and candy at that point. So at that time, I had already been dabbling with a little bit of weed, and my friends we were all smoking. And so I made the decision that, hey, if we're going to be getting this stuff on a regular basis, I might as well be the one to have it.
Exactly.
Again, it's that entrepreneurial spirit serving the need of somebody, right? And having the solution for that need. And basically, man, it took a life of its own, and it grew into something that I never anticipated it grow into, and started branching out to other schools, started getting people underneath me selling, and it just kept escalating. And then where it really went bad is Florida, man. We had this pill epidemic that just crushed us.
The whole pill mill thing, right?
With these dirty doctors, and even the clean, they were just over prescribing the pain medication, specifically oxycodone and the Roxys, and so I ended up basically stepping into that arena. The numbers, the profits, I didn't know anything about these things, but I saw what I could make, and I was like, all right, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And so I started taking women, they were typically like housewives. It was they were moms, stay-at-home moms, basically, that were, and it started with one, and then she had a friend, and then so I basically was taking these women to the doctors, and they were saying they had back pain, and we'd walk out with a whole bunch of prescriptions and turning around and selling them, and it was just became this vicious cycle, man, and I got just ate up. Battling addiction, and it was one hand washes the other. Like my entire life revolved around feeding that high and answering my phone. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it all came crashing down 2012. I was arrested actually not for selling those drugs, and it's crazy because the charge I was arrested for it's a punishable by life charge. But if I would have got jammed up for those pills, I'd probably still be in prison right now because they were throwing football numbers out for those things.
Yeah, because I know in Florida they have like mandatory minimums for the pills, right?
Oh, it's no joke.
Yeah.
I ended up getting arrested for an armed robbery and what the detectives labeled as a drug deal gone bad. And that's punishable by life in Florida. And I received, after months of going back and forth, I ended up taking a plea bargain for 4 years, 1 year over the minimum amount of time you can get for that charge.
How did you feel about that time, though? Because you was facing life. Was it like a relief or? Okay.
Yeah, we realistically thought 10 to 15. We had some circumstances that happened that played in my favor with the courts. And so when they offered me a year over the minimum, I was already kind of at peace with, I was going.
Right, definitely. So how long you was going for.
Right. So at that point, it was just like, all right, it's time to go. Mm-hmm. And so accepted that, and that's where the journey really started, man. That's where everything truly started for me.
Okay. And so your first night in, well, you've been to jail before, but not really prison.
Not in the main section. I've been to county jail with some misdemeanors, but this time when they threw me in, in Orlando, we have like, I think it's the 3rd or 4th largest jail in the country.
Okay.
And we've got a whole huge section, the main, they call it the jungle, and I got thrown in there, and man, it was a real awakening real quick for me. Yeah.
So how was that whole experience? I'm sure, like, coming from the suburbs, right? Not really into the whole street life like that. It kind of slipped into something, and now you in jail. You facing, well, you actually got your time now. So now mentally, you know, I got to go down and do this 4 years, 3 and some change or whatever. So what was the whole adapting process like, going inside of the jail, preparing to go to the joint?
Yeah. So in county, it was just, man, in Florida, we have what's called a TOH, test of heart. And so, you know, I had to right off the bat, I was TOH. I fought. After that, I was basically gravy in county. It was one time I had to go at it. From then I was fine. And I was basically just kind of preparing myself, trying to give me some information from, you know, people who have already been down and whatnot. And so, once I accepted that the 4 years, I was off. I'm on the bus. I'm on my way. They set me way up north, top of Florida, 6 hours away, right on the Georgia line. And when I got there, man, I was just straight observation mode. You know, that's just intaking information, processing the dorm, seeing how people move, and just really just laid back. And I'm just what one of the things prison definitely did for me was raise the observation skills, the social intelligence.
You become a sociologist. You can kind of read people without even not much dealing with them. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so that's what I basically did, and I'll share this with the viewers. See, before I went to prison, right, I told my dad, I was on a call with him. This is when I was still in county. I said, Pops, I said, I don't know how, this was before I even got sentenced. I said, I don't know how much time they're going to give me, but I want you to know that I'm ready. Like, I want to change, right? Mm-hmm. And so I had accepted I was going. I already told myself that I wanted to use this time to better myself. And so what I want to share is that I set this intention, just like a lot of our viewers, right? We all have these different intentions that we set: to start the business, to start the podcast, to get out of the 9 to 5, to lose the 20 pounds, to fix the marriage. We set these intentions, right? And so I went into prison with the intention to change.
Okay.
All right. Now we go back to, I'm prison. I'm in observation mode. I'm processing. I'm checking everything out. I'm taking everything in. Man, I went right back to the same lifestyle.
Wow. Now, how did you become comfortable? Like, once you got in your setting, because I've seen this happen, right? A person come in, you can see it on them that they're scared. But once they see the lay of the land, they did some observation, and maybe they seen a few people that they knew. Now they become comfortable, and like the real you kind of comes out. So you're saying it was similar to that? Maybe not the real you, but kind of like you said, you fell back into your old habits.
Yeah, basically I reverted back to what was comfortable for me.
Right.
I wanted to change, but I didn't know how to. Right.
Okay.
And so now I'm in this new place, and naturally, like, I'm feeling at odds. I'm feeling kind of like I don't know how to create these changes that I wanted. I didn't know what personal development was. I didn't have, like, I was lacking what I needed to make these changes. And so I ended up reverting back to what I knew, right? I was using my charge, wearing it as a badge of honor, talking about how much I was selling on the streets, what I was reliving it day to day, talking about it. Started smoking and selling cigarettes. I had gotten a couple fights. People were, you know, like, but I was playing the same thing I was doing on the streets. I was playing into something I had that really isn't me.
Exactly.
it's an image, it's a facade, it's something I want
definitely.
you to see, but it's like, that's not truly me.
Yeah.
And it was at the 6-month mark. I ended up spending 56 days in the box.
Okay.
And
now what's the box for some people that may not know?
Okay, so you're looking at basically like I don't know what the exact size is, man, but we're talking a small cell.
Yeah.
There's no TV, there's no radio. You're in confinement, and it is, you got a toilet, you got a bunk, and you're in there by yourself. And I spent 56 days in there. I only left that cell to go down the hall to take a shower and go right back in that cell.
Exactly.
That's it. That's the only time I left, and that was 3 days a week. I took a shower.
And
And so.
But you've been quarantined.
Oh yeah, this quarantine, like I know quarantine, man.
Exactly.
and it was during that time I had this moment. I said, Eric, you go when you get out of here, you go back to population. If you don't do something different, you're gonna come out of the 4 years the exact same way that you came in, if not worse.
Right.
And so for our listeners, my big question is, a year from now, 6 months from now, if you're making the same amount of money, if you're hanging around with the same exact people, if you're getting the exact same results that you're getting today, doing the same things that you're doing today, how are you going to feel?
Yeah.
And if the answer is not, I'm gonna be okay, I'm gonna feel good because I'm doing good here, I know if that's not the answer, if you're real with yourself and you know, man, I'm not gonna be happy about that. I want better results.
Yeah.
Then you better change right now. You have to change right now, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's what came to me. And so I recognized that. And so when I got back out, I reached out to my older brother. He's played a huge part in my growth. He sent me 2 books. He says, I want you to start by reading these 2 books. And then from there, we're going to put together a game plan for you, and we're going to get you going. Yeah. And it was that next 3.5 years, man, I relentlessly, every day, I fell in love with personal development.
So for the audience that may want to know, what were those 2 books that you read? Because for me, reading was like, it was my escape. One of my favorite books. I actually read it like the first week I got into prison, was a book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Okay,
and that was like one of the last books I read when I was leaving prison, like 9.5 years later. So it was a total different perspective. And I just set it up that way. It just kind of happened that way. So what were those couple of those books that you read that really had that impact on your life like that?
And that's an amazing book, man.
Yeah, definitely,
Aaron, if you guys, that book that he just mentioned is powerful. So
definitely,
that's a great read. For me, it was Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within.
Yeah.
And that's more mindset, heart set. And then the second one was more of a business book. It was Timothy Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week.
Oh yeah. Okay. I heard
and yeah. And so those are the 2 books, and they set me on the path, man. They allowed me to, they introduced me to a new way of thinking that I had never been exposed to. My parents are great people, but growing up, my dad, he taught me sports, and my mom, she taught me God. There was no personal development. There was no financial.
No
there was no business. There was none of that.
Right.
It was God or it was sports. It was one of the 2. And so when I was exposed to personal development, I fell in love with it, man. And so I just chased it down day after day for the rest of that time period, while I was away.
Right. So you pretty much had practice while you were in there. Like, did you find yourself reading some of these books and then your interactions? Because as you stated earlier, we become like these social, not butterflies. We really kind of can pick up on cues and things of that nature. And so that's like, I always tell people, like, in prison, you're around so many different personalities, 1,500, 2,000 different personalities a day. This is the best time not only to get to know yourself, but to get to know others as well. So did you utilize, if you knew that you wanted to do personal development or you had this affinity for it, were you practicing some of that stuff as you look back on it? Maybe not consciously then, but as you look back, you're like, okay, I was kind of doing this while I was incarcerated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you said it, not 100% conscious of it, right? It was more so that my question was always this: is this action step? You guys should, all our listeners here, this is $1 million question. If you want to get to the next level in your business and your life, ask this question on a daily basis. It's what I'm doing right now, what I'm focused on, where I'm giving my energy. Is this going to get me to the place that I want to go? And if the answer is no, then let's go ahead and chop that down. Let's get that off our plate. Let's slowly get that. Let's get away from that. Right. And so for me, I wasn't conscious that, okay, these steps are going to make me a speaker when I get out of prison. These steps are going to allow me to create a multiple six-figure coaching business. It wasn't like that. It was more so like, is this going to get me to the image of my future self that I want to get to? And I didn't know what that was going to be. I didn't know what field I was going to be in. I just knew I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be confident. I wanted to be approachable. I wanted to hold myself to a high regard, right? And so my action steps had to match that future self. Okay. And right now, whatever place that you guys are, for everyone listening and everybody's going to be on the replay, wherever you want to go, your mindset and your current steps better match that future self that you have no idea how you're going to get to. You got to start playing right now as if you are already that person 6 months, 1 year, 5 years down the road that you want to get to.
You know what I think happens? I think that we get so caught up in our routine of our everyday lives, and that we have these ideas of what we want next year, but we don't realize that every day. I realized this when I came home because I was so conscious of time. Like every day is like, it has to be going towards something, right? It has to be working towards something. It's almost like I compare it to working out because I fell in love working out, and I seen the grind with that, right? You start off looking one way, then you look at yourself in the mirror 6 months later, you like, wow, but it was every rep at a time. You know what I mean? Like one rep at a time. And it's the same way with your personal life, your business life. So you just have to get started and kind of get that momentum going. And then once you get that momentum going, you get that confidence. That's what I found with myself.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. So how you're working out, how you're taking how you're showing up in that way is probably a good idea of how you're showing up in your business and the rest of your life. So I love that.
Definitely. So you're in prison. You kind of went through this whole phase of kind of transforming, and so now you're about to get out, right? I know for me, I had prepared since day one for getting out. However, even with all the preparation, I still had that sense of anxiety. I had butterflies in my system, in my stomach, right? Because I had adapted to prison. Not that I was institutionalized, but as in the book that I read, Viktor Frankl, he talks about how man can get used to anything, and that's very true, right? You learn to adapt. We're adaptable people, and so that's what had happened to me. I learned how to bid. I learned how to do time. So now it's 9.5 years later, and I'm ready to get out. I've been preparing since day one, but yet I still got these butterflies, this anxiety. Did you have that too, or were you like, I was ready to get out, no doubt.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stay, you know what I mean? But however, I was just like, I got all these plans, these business plans I want to do. And it's like, now it's showtime.
Yeah, I think the way that we feel as a society about going off and doing our own thing, we can amplify that because as far as me and you, because now what's happening is we know where our heads are at. We know we're about to get out and we want to do big things. We want to now show everybody, we want to show ourselves that we got this, that we're going to make something of ourselves. We're going to do it. But man, we got weight on our back that we have to carry. We got this big X on our back, like convicted felon, like, you know, and you know, I got turned down from multiple jobs. I got turned down from all the, you know, different apartments. And so I felt rejection right off the bat. And so what I think it is it's no different than right now. It's like you probably had some butterflies starting this podcast.
Oh, definitely.
But you pushed through, you took action, and now look what we're doing. We're jamming out, you're adding value to the world, like we're, you know. But I think it was there. But man, it's the same thing just when I launched my coaching business. It was there. But it's a matter of pushing through that. It's a matter of recognizing it and saying, hey, these feelings, these emotions, I gotta lean into those. I gotta take the next step. Right. And a big thing I tell my clients, a big thing that I tell my audience, small steps create huge change. So we don't have to worry about where we're going to be. You're getting out after 9.5 years. It's a matter about taking those initial steps. When I got out after 4 years, it's a matter of taking those initial steps, the small steps that are going to create the big changes down the road. Right,
definitely. And so with the coaching business, like, how did you actually start that? Like putting the pieces together, like getting your first client and kind of coming up with your whole business model as you have it now?
Yeah, so I started in the fitness space. My first coaching business was it was a mix of online fitness coaching and life coaching, and I primarily worked with men. And man, I almost quit several times, but I continued to push through. I continued to put myself out there. I had some incredible mentors, incredible coaches. Invested a lot of money in learning. I was working as a waiter, working doubles all week, brunches on the weekend, and grinding, growing.
You sound like me.
Yeah, man, trying to grow this business. And I finally had I had some good breakthroughs. I'd signed my first high ticket client. I ended up signing another one. And then the ball started. I had more confidence in how I was showing up, right? I started dialing my content. I started dialing in my brand, my mission, my marketing. My sales processes got better. Everything started to kind of click. And I finally hit my first 10K month. And it was at that point where I was like, okay, I got this. And I continued to get coached. I was mentoring under a multiple 7-figure business coach and in his organization. And so for me, no matter what business you have to be really in alignment with the service mentality. As a coach, as a service provider, you have to be really in alignment with who it is that you're helping. And your language, your branding, your content, everything has to be centered around your ideal client. And so that's how really for me, it was always about my client. It was always my ideal client. It was always about serving them, right?
So how did that look though? Like an example, if you can.
Yeah. So let's say for your videos or for your copywriting. So the copy that you're writing in your content, in your any messaging that you're using, you have to step away from what you want to put out and what you think looks good and your language. And you need to be speaking in the language of who it is that you serve and really getting clear on two things: the specific problem that you solve. Because you want to be a specialist. You don't want to be a generalist. Right. All right. So for all my fitness people out there, you can't just be the fitness coach. You can't just be the person that helps people get healthy. That's not enough. You're a generalist.
You got to find a niche.
You need a niche down. You need to be the weight loss expert. And then it's like, well, let's get even more fine tuned. Do you work primarily with men, with women, with busy moms, with executives? Like, who is it? And then once you have clarity around that, you have to start speaking their language. You have to start speaking to their pain points and to their problems. And when you do that, now you start standing out in your space. Now people start hearing you through all the noise. And then as long as you have the other foundational pieces dialed in, man, it's only a matter of time. So
no, go ahead.
Well, the other thing is paying attention to what's needed. So how I pivoted into business coaching is I have a sales background, right? I have a 4-year sales background. That's legal sales. Right. So I've got 4 years in legal sales background, and I definitely have a huge appeal to the business side of things, right? Yeah. And so one of my clients, who was a fitness professional, right? He went through my program for the mindset. He needed it. So he came to me for mindset, right? But then he recognized that my fitness coaching, my life coaching, my program took off. And he's working full-time at a gym. Yeah. He's working part-time as a server, and he's trying to get his fitness business off the ground. And so he reaches out to me. He's like, Eric, man, like, I need some help. Like, you did it. Like, you're doing it. You like, help me out, get this thing going. And he had about like $1,500 in sales for the entire year previous to signing with me, right?
Wow, yeah.
And so all I'm doing is listening. This is my guy. He's from my audience, one of my clients, and he's asking for this based on what I can give, right? And that goes for everybody. We all have talents. We all have stuff that we can contribute to society, to people.
No doubt,
And so you have to hone in on that. You got to be aware of that. And so he came to me. He says he needs some help with his coaching business. And so I put something together for him, and he signed with me. He was my first client in my business coaching program. And we took him from his first launch, $10,500. Oh, wow. And so, man, we're jumping for joy, man. Like, and so he took off, and I recognized, all right, I've got something here.
So when you say the first launch, well, like, what does that mean? That was like what he was making that month?
Yeah, it was about
it
was about a month. It was a little under a month. His launch was a little bit less than a month that he brought in $10,500. I showed him how to sell high ticket because he was selling way too low. We got his messaging in place. We got his, his marketing got in place. We got his sales in place, his sales process in place. And it was just a matter of now having the conversations and closing. And so we were off to the races. And since then, man, I've been able to help multiple people go from literally ground zero, no income in their coaching business. Some of them, like one of my clients right now, he had no program when he started with me. Yeah. And so for the viewers listening, wherever you're at right now in your coaching business, wherever you're at, this thing is at 100% doable. And people need you. So the fact that if you're walking in fear, if you're questioning how to show up, it's up to you to get the clarity you need to take those small steps. This guy started with no program. He's been working with me for about 45 days now. He's got 6K in sales. And so like it's a matter of you really embracing your talents and strengths and stepping into it, taking those small steps to step into how you can serve people at a greater level. And so that I'm just lit up. I'm so grateful to be able to show up for my community. What's going on, Lisa? Good to see you. So grateful to be able to show up for my community and serve my clients and my audience the way that I am, man. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. So you think a person can have a successful business without an online presence?
Oh, man, that's a tough question. I'm not going to say no, because it depends on your space. If you get into real estate, and your networking is on point and you get brought into the right, with the right people, right place. Sure. I think that there's definitely still plenty of room to grow without social media. It just depends on what industry you're in. Right. But I'm going to say no matter what industry you're in, I think you can leverage social media to enhance your presence, to gain more clients, and to grow your business faster. Okay. So that's what I would say. No, I don't think it's absolutely crucial, but I think it's why wouldn't you?
So what would you say to that young man or woman, maybe a family member is listening, and their son, daughter, husband, brother, sister is incarcerated, and they want to make that change. They want to go into business or just maybe even go back to school, some kind of career development. Like what would you say to them to kind of keep them motivated? Because when they get out, it's definitely going to be a grind. I underestimate it, to be 100 with you. It's like I knew it was going to be hard work, but I didn't realize that because we're so used to fast money. We're so used to starting something one week and making tens of thousands of dollars the next week, right? And so we get spoiled by that. And plus, we're living in a microwave world right now. We instant gratification. So with that, what would you tell them?
So it goes back to what I mentioned. Hone in on your skills. What are your what are your superpowers? What can you leverage? What is a passion that you have? And now the question is, how can you monetize that? So for me, what I wish I would have been doing while I was incarcerated was studying, getting certified in different things that I knew I could potentially monetize. I was heavy into fitness. I never thought to get a certification in fitness. So when I got out and I started my fitness company, the coaching business, I had to go get certified. That took up time. So if we're talking to people who are incarcerated, it's really using this time to give yourself an edge when you get out. You've already got accreditation in something that you can then leverage to crush it. I got plenty of people that I've come across who are they're not even doing the online coaching. They're doing fitness coaching, like personal training. Exactly, they're making 8 to 10K, 8 to 12K a month, depending on where they're at, fitness training. And it's all they do. And so really, and I know we keep hitting on fitness, but you were studying the Wall Street Journal while you were away, and now that's something that you're still doing. That's right now. That's probably your closest bet to getting out of the 9-to-5 as of right now.
Absolutely.
Right. And so if we're talking to the person who's still incarcerated, it's thinking right now what you can be doing currently to give yourself put yourself in the most advantageous place to make money when you get out. Yeah. That's what you got to be thinking.
Well, there you have it, y'all. Hey, he gave you all his program in 30 minutes for free. So definitely, I learned a whole lot, man. I'll definitely be getting a one-on-one with you as well. To grow what I'm doing with Escaping the Odds podcast, just media company as a whole. So what can everybody find? They want to reach out to you and kind of hire you for the work, or any kind of consulting work, how can they reach out to you?
Just right here on Instagram for all the viewers here. Instagram's my last name, Salzenstein. Facebook, Eric Salzenstein. I'm not even going to throw the website out there. Just send me a DM. Reach out to me, and if there's any way I can help you. If you have someone that is incarcerated and you're looking for any specific questions for that person, feel free to ask. One of the things, and it's actually, I was going to do a message on this today, but I decided to postpone. I'm going to do it tomorrow. Okay. Social media is exactly that. You got to be social. If you want to leverage this thing and use social media the right way, you got to stop scrolling, feeding, watching, swiping, and you need to start engaging. Right. And so it's a matter of what space do you want to be in? Where do you want to grow? Well, find some people who are already doing it in that space and reach out to them. And 7 out of the 10 may brush you off. They may not make any time for you. Forget those people. 3 of them, 2 of them, or even 1 of them may give you time and may give you the gold that you need to get you moving. So whether it's me or someone else, reach out, start the conversation, and there's people out there who would love to help you out, including myself. So, yeah.
No doubt, definitely. Hey, I want to speak to that. I cold call, well, not cold call, but I reach out to people like I reached out to you, right? I said you had a story, fit the program, and I'm like, hey, would you enjoy being on the show? You know, I want to hear your story. And you'll be surprised how many people say yes. Like most of the time when I reach out to people, 7 out of 10 will get back to me, and we'll kind of set up something. So yeah, don't be afraid to kind of just reach out and just talk to someone, and you'll be surprised.
Yeah, I had someone who I was a guest specialist. I did a specialist training for another coach's group. Yeah. And one of the people that were on that group, she kept my information. She just reached out to me today, and she had a couple questions. And the voice notes I gave her, whatever I said to her, and like the 2 voice notes, and I was willing to give that time to her, it like the light bulb went off for her. Yeah. And I told her, and I'm going to do a screenshot on this tomorrow. I told her, I said, hey, do you mind if I share this? Because like it was, she didn't have to, she was vulnerable. She reached out to me and said, hey, I'm struggling with this right now. What's your thoughts? What's your perspective? And so I shared it with her, and all of a sudden she got that light bulb. So again, it's to all of our viewers. It's where are you struggling? If it's relationships, there's thousands of relationship coaches online right now who are either just getting started. They're going to help you for free. They will. They're just getting started. They got great advice for you. Maybe it's financial. There's thousands of financial coaches out there. So it's using this, it's leveraging this, it's being okay with being vulnerable, saying, I need some help right now. I need some guidance. Put me on game. Right. And reaching out to that person. Right. So, and Aaron, man, I want to thank you for how you're showing up, because, you know, you came out after 9.5 years and you're such a great example. I mean, you did double what I did plus an extra one just for, and man, you hit, and you've been out what, 8, like you said, 18 months now.
16 months, yeah.
16?
February 2019, yeah.
You talk about hitting the ground running. I mean, you've got, you're doing, and you're adding tremendous value, man. And so I can't thank you enough for how you're showing up for everybody. And I'm happy to play a part and jam out with you, man, here. So, yeah.
Hey, thank you for coming on, man. Really, man, I appreciate that. And everybody who came in and just listening, man, I really appreciate you all supporting. You guys can continue to support my podcast. Escaping the Odds is on Stitcher, iTunes, pretty much anywhere, anchor.fm, anywhere where a podcast could be played. I'm dropping a YouTube channel probably next week sometime, so there'll be a launch for that as well. The website, escapingtheodds.com. Merchandise coming soon, so y'all continue to support both of us with Switching Hustles, Unlocking Freedom.
Yeah, we are.
Definitely, financial freedom, man, is definitely a great thing, and I just want you all to continue to learn from the stories. And we're going to change the narrative of what people think of someone who's incarcerated. So thank you all again. Signing off, Escaping the Odds with Mr. Eric Salzenstein. Appreciate that.
All right, absolutely. All the best. See you guys.
Okay, take care, y'all. Peace.
All right.